the Season 3 changes, because he was always forced into playing range supports, and he likes to play the melee ones, which is why the bans have already happened with Leona.
Not too much focus as we had in the jungle coming into this game. Only Vi has been taken out, possibly to see an Elise coming in here. I'm not sure what Zuna really has back on CLG Black. He was a Jarvan player, he was a Lee Sin player, but I don't know if he's going to keep going with that now. We don't see too much Jarvan in this day and age.
No, we really don't. He was played a little bit in Challenger. The bans throughout, there's 2 support bans targeted at Crepo. There's a lot of options they have here with their first pick. They could do the regular top laners. They could do a Thresh, and obviously Yasuo was banned through most of Europe, saw a few things in. Even Kassadin's available. There's so much, and it's the Kassadin.
That's the thing. You may not think about it, but when new champions come in, those will slip your mind real quick. Kassadin does get through most picked, most banned, I believe, as you look back at most of our recent tournaments.
Definitely most banned.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely most banned.
In the start of the split. And very quickly for XDG, they get the Thresh for Bloodwater. He pretty much only plays Thresh and Sona, so he got the pick he wanted. And I think that Olaf is going to be for Zuna. I was talking with Benny a lot about his favorite top lane picks, and he says, Olaf's one of my favorite top lane picks, but he's too strong in the jungle, so I never get to play him there. So this is a jungle.
Now that the jungle's a little more beefy, you can get him pretty fed up in there. Good pick that goes along with Olaf recently has been Sivir. To get that all-in charge kind of composition going. You see that a lot coming out of Korea. We'll see if Xmithy actually ventures into that zone. Sivir's a little bit different of the AD carry than you would usually play, so we'll see if it fits his suit. Snoopy and Pobelter here. Thinking for the team. Pobelter's got what he wants. What are they going to show, though? They see jungle and they see support, so they can kind of...
about Yasuo.
Yeah, they're mind gaming Yasuo.
They already have the Kassadin, though, so they wouldn't have solo laner
Locked
synergy.
it.
And they locked it already. They can't combo with the Vi jungle, but there's 38 champions in the game that can combo with Yasuo, so there's something they have left. You will not see a Yasuo pick without some type of synergy to help him with his initiation. That'll show in their last 2 picks.
Looks like ManCloud may want to leave himself for the end, even to see what the rest of it is. He probably feels pretty good going up against Kassadin, but he wants to know what's going to be coming at him from the sides here. That's what he's really worried about. Right now it's XDG to pick. Zuna actually played a little bit of Vayne. Didn't fare too well on it. No. But Vayne's a very scary pick here with everybody jumping on your face.
But they trust Xmithy's mechanics first and foremost, and they trust him with any AD carry they want. I'm more interested in what ManCloud wants to play.
If they hold it.
Against Kassadin. Well, because if anyone is ready for Kassadin, it would be ManCloud. He would be the one that said he's okay to play against Kassadin. Yeah, something like Kayle would be really good for him. And it's strange how Kassadin became this must-ban almost overnight. Yes, he had a few big games for Peke against Cloud9, but he was mostly the same for such a long period of time, and then became permaban because kind of everyone learned him and just got fed up with playing against him. But it doesn't mean that he's uncounterable or unbeatable.
Right. It's kind of more of a problem for the team than it is the laner. You know, he roams and then he just kills your AD over and over again. And
it's really hard to roam on a Kayle.
Yeah.
Because Kayle not only shoves the lane, but kills towers extremely quickly.
But ManCloud does get his champion that he can two-shot somebody at some point.
You know what's really interesting? It's a Yasuo effect.
Oh, hit me.
Yeah, so his Wind Wall blocks like auto attack projectiles, but there's 2 champions who you'd think would have ranged auto attacks but hit through the Wind Wall because they're technically melee attacks, no projectile. Thresh's auto attack and Kayle's auto attack with her Eon. They have both of them.
Both blocked out?
Can't
block
block
not the Vladimir. The Vladimir
they
kind of
the
thing
Wind
is
Wall
cool.
can't block it. Yeah, Vladimir, the damage would happen, but the heal on the way back stops in the Wind Wall. It's unfortunate.
It's actually pretty cool. We see a Lulu. I've seen a few Lulus coming in and out here. Maybe AP Lulus.
So they can try and chain. They don't actually have the easiest knockups. Yep. Someone has to be in the team to begin with. Then they can knock up an R off of it. So it could just be a Yasuo E'ing in, getting Lulu walled, and then extending the knockup. Or it could be a kickback from Lee Sin.
It's
interesting, though.
Highly mobile team. Not very fun to play against.
Now, Snoopy does not play much Lee Sin. He has never been known to be a high mechanical jungler. There could be some crazy world where he's actually jungling Yasuo, and Pobelter is playing Lee Sin in the mid lane. That's crazy talk.
I like it. Or maybe they'll swap. I actually thought we were going to get AD support mid lane. We haven't seen it in a while, controlling Bust last game, but they decided to flip it out. Still looking for what XDG has to go against, I'd say, a pretty crazy comp right now from EG, especially like you said, from what we have seen them play. This is going to be interesting.
Oh, right. I was crazy talk. It's a top lane Yasuo with an extremely strong level 1 and 2.
Right.
And Yasuo is actually a very strong laner against Mundo and Shyvana early on in the game.
Yeah, early.
And I think that's actually what Benny would have picked if he wouldn't have to go up against Yasuo. That's why he picked Renekton, because almost no one matches up against Renekton's power that early in the game.
We'll see what he can do. They have Olaf and Lee Sin coming through on the jungle. How is that going to factor in for both teams? People see Olaf to come in because he is such a detriment in fights. He is so powerful. But does that stand up to early game pressure from Lee Sin all around you trying to get in your jungle?
I feel like Olaf should be able to deal with it early on in the game. His early trading is quite strong, and even Lee Sin has some troubles keeping his health up in the jungle.
Yeah.
Snoopy would have to get very aggressive to try and make some counter jungle plays. All
right, well, the champs are locked in right now and loading. So let's take a quick look at who you voted on to win this match. According to LOLesports.com, 79% of you think Evil Geniuses are going to come out on top of this game.
It's a little high.
That's a big vote.
That is a big vote. It's obviously the fan vote. Evil Genius is an extremely popular team.
XDG's been around a while, though. They have a fan base.
XDG was a very dominant team.
Sleeping.
Very dominant team in the summer split. And people seem to think that just because they've had a poor offseason and they swapped roles between jungle and AD carry, they did it for a reason. Like, they're hoping that this improves the team. And I think that that's a big underestimation of XDG's ability.
So coming into this matchup, XDG has always been a team that loves to grab an early lead. They say if we have momentum by 20, the game is ours. Something to keep an eye on right there.
They were probably the best early game team in North America last split.
So when they beat Cloud9, it's when they were able to get through it.
And historically, Evil Geniuses has been a very poor early game team.
Yes.
That more focuses on the late game. So that could definitely be something to check out here.
We are onto the Rift. The second match of the day about to be underway here. We have EG versus XDG going live. And it is going to be Snoopy and crew trying to take down now Zuna and crew. Zuna in the jungle for his team. Going to be rocking some Olaf. Snoopy on the Lee Sin, which is also something we're going to watch because we don't usually see him on those aggressive type junglers.
We have not seen him play that for quite a while. If almost ever in the competitive scene. Whenever there was a Lee Sin on the Evil Geniuses side, it was Froggen who wanted to play it in the mid lane. Not Snoopy who got it in the jungle.
XDG feels pretty confident. They have something in their mind and to prioritize as they make their way into this match. As they move into the jungle, it's just going to be a red buff hold here. And it doesn't look like EG really wants too much about this. They're going to make sure their jungle's safe, but as long as they don't lose anything, they'll be fine with it.
No, and as long as they don't get spotted too much by wards coming through, this is going to be a safe back for them with no real danger happening. The only problem that might happen with XGG here is if they don't ward, or since they didn't ward their own jungle on the way through, that someone from EG could have gotten position for them. But that's actually, something that hasn't happened with the new trinket system is since, you see how they're all still recharging because they can't use them until later in the game. I think it leaves so much potential for early game invades and people actually getting in position to make plays. And no one in the competitive scene yet has really taken advantage of that.
XDG almost did it a little bit there. They were looking for a one and done. They didn't really leave any wards to be placed, as you said, because the trinkets were going out and they hadn't put any extra money into it. But for now, they were looking to get the advantage we were just talking about. Something that'll give them a lead as they get to 20 minutes. They're in a safe zone, nowhere near no man's land, and they have the game in their hands. CEG staying safe for the beginning. However, it is going to be pretty much even matchups. Yeah, we're going to see that Zuna, or not Zuna, Smithy rather now. It's going to take a bit.
We're so used
making
to
his way down to the bottom lane with Bloodwater.
Obviously, we got to check to see if Snoopy has many counter jungling options as well.
Yeah.
Zuna burned through almost all his mana. Luckily, he's got that blue buff to pick it back up. And the mid lane, obviously, I think is going to be a big focus of this game. Whether or not ManCloud can shut down Pobelter's Cassidy. That's just huge because there's this perception that as soon as a team locks in Cassidy, it's just GG, the game is over. It's not the case, and ManCloud is ready for it. Kayle has been destroying people.
Yeah, it gets scary, especially as you get to the late game because you kind of just sinks in even more that she's going to two-shot your team. And even if your mid lane says, I can pick a Riven and kill him, don't believe him.
Yeah, don't believe that they're going to pick Riven. That ended up happening, unfortunately, for NIP against Rockhat. They thought they could beat Kayle with Riven, and they were sorely mistaken, especially if we get to late game here. Just the Lich Bane Kales that have 600 or 700 AP are just two-shot machines as far as squishies are concerned.
Well, that's the kind of stuff that ManCloud focuses. You look at his champion pool, and they banned out Kha'Zix on him first. Kha'Zix can two-shot people. He likes to have that ability to change a fight completely within a few abilities. And really, it's almost hard to play those champions because there is a little bit of a trade-off in high risk, high reward if you're not in the right spot.
Kale could also be theoretically good against Yasuo if Yasuo goes and tries to lock down an extra person with his ultimate. They know exactly where that damage is going, and he should be able to ult it as long as it's not happening on him.
Bloodwater staying pretty aggressive onto Krepo. Krepo is actually loves to, or he is a proponent of knowing aggression within the lane when it's coming. Oh, Snoopy coming into the mid lane, but this is totally red, but they're able to get a kill onto ManCloud first. Snoopy with the shield on. The undertow connects for Zuna. They go back and forth there, so no double buffs are going to be traded off.
No, and even though there's a first blood bonus, that's in favor of XDG.
Zuna. Yep.
Because Zuna gets the double buff still, plus all this extra experience in the lane. I think it's going to hurt ManCloud a little bit, but if Zuna wants to prove his chops in the jungle here, now's the time. This is the best start any jungler could hope for.
Coming in very strong, like you said. Able to soak up this, and it'll make him a little bit 7 CS ahead in lane, but that means they're going to have to see Snoopy trying to make some action in the form that we say he's a utility jungler. He now has to be forced into doing something. And Zuna,
is he going to try and wait for Snoopy on the way through?
He's going to get the brush first. Snoopy, and that brush puts down the reckless swing. He's going to get a good amount of damage on him. Not having his buffs just means this is going to hurt even more, and it's going to make it harder in the jungle. The top lane, Inox taking some damage. The ignite was down, but he's all right.
And another hook in the bottom.
Bloodwater is in the wrong spot right now, and he needs to make his way out. It's only going to be a bit of damage trade, and even Bloodwater thinks they can turn around to reaggress.
So a lot of action happening in and around the map right here. It does seem like the bottom lane is fairly even at this point, and that would favor Jinx as long as they can keep it even, because Jinx does scale better into the late game. As far as the top lane goes, it's definitely Benny doing well with Renekton. He got to pick that thing last at this point. So he's got a 13 farm advantage onto Inox's Yasuo. And a lot of teams like to lane swap to get their Yasuo a little bit more time. And what do you lane swap against in this team? Because he doesn't work against Kale and he doesn't work against Renekton. So a very dangerous Yasuo pick this time for Evil Geniuses.
We'll see what he can do. He was already pushed out of lane once, and that was just strength coming out from the Doran's shield buy, which is now a Doran's blade on Inax. And Benny was right for that Giant's belt, so he's going to be able to really go toe-to-toe in that lane. And Inax won't be able to trade, so something to watch on. Absolutely. Looks like he wants to push the lane. He doesn't really want to have to face Benny at all during this one.
Yeah, Yasuo was able to push it pretty well.
Oh, I guess he can.
Yeah, it's
very nice.
It's quite scary because Olaf is so strong. But he's actually just betting that Olaf is much more concerned at shutting down Kassadin.
Playing it very smart, and there it is. They are going to try to shut down Kassadin. It's just before level 5. Pobelter started to feel safe in lane, and XDG takes advantage.
Especially since he went back to base and bought a Tear of the Goddess. No defensive itemization whatsoever. Still low on health. Came back to lane without having his flash off a cooldown. It's going to happen. Sure, Inox was able to push up because he realized Pobelter was being a fool.
See them trying to press down this mid turret quite hard. Snoopy's going to do what he can, but it is going to be a scramble now for them. With that in the mid lane, Snoopy's going to have to focus that, and he already has a lot on his plate. Now in the bottom lane, Yellow Pete showing a little bit of non-aggression, getting taken out. Smithy a few more shots, and that would have been it. Krepo, they have great focus. Krepo was in the front, and they weren't even worried about him. They were just firing on Smithy.
It was
Yellow Pete, rather.
It was a really critical polymorph there by Krepo to try and keep Yellow Pete alive, but eating more hooks like that is going to be giving Xsmithy and Bloodwater some edges in that lane. So far, so good for them.
Whoa, throwing down Dominus. Looks like Benny's just going to waltz this one out. Inox doing a very nice job of avoiding the AoE damage that's coming off there. And it looks like he's going to be able to continue doing this. I don't think Inox has too much after he's used it all, though. You can see him trying to hightail it out of here. Benny has what he needs, trying to get that rage up to another 50 to get the stun on the slice and dice. He's going to put it there, and he gets the stun down. 200 HP for Inox now. He has enough to jump to those last two minions, completely saving his life.
Barely escaping that one with no flash up to escape. It was dangerous. Benny could always continue to chase with a flash of his own. Pobelter trying to come back into this game a little bit by thinking about roaming, but it's not going to be the day.
No, they say let's get the blue first if we're going to do this. I think Benny is going to back. So they quickly get Pole Belter blue, and this is only going to mean more focus coming onto him from the jungle, from Zuna, and from ManCloud.
But at least once he's level 6, the Olaf ganks cease to be effective against him. He should not be getting hit by those axes. It's not necessarily going to help him farm against Kayle, though, because ManCloud has done a pretty good job putting his stamp on that lane. If only ManCloud could have gotten some of those kills from the jungle, he would be using that gold to dominate even more. It now has to be Zuna to take that advantage elsewhere.
I haven't seen too much bullying in this bottom lane from that Lulu Lucian. You got to give credit to Bloodwater for really staying in the face of them and hitting with the chain just whenever. You're really getting the auto attacks out, and it's keeping that lane in pace for them. BF Sword coming out for Jinx to the Vampire Scepter, so you got a lot of damage there. So maybe that's why they're sitting back.
You can see, you know, Boots and the Vamp Scepter, a lot of utility or extra mobility, but if they ever locked into a full-on fight, it would be XDG's edge. Yeah. The fear that Xmithy has to account for here is the fact that he has very little extra health or sustain, so if he takes any poke from some of Yellowbeat's things, he's in trouble. And if Snoopy were to get straight onto him, I think he wouldn't be long for this world.
And here's something you gotta see. Yellow Pete and Krepo are playing a little differently with the Siege Wave. They're right on the front of it, and you can see XDG, they almost knew that was going to happen. They figured it was coming from the side. They don't want either of the engagements they got. Zuna now to the top lane. Like you said, mid lane won't be a focus too much with Kassadin having that Rift Walk now, so they go all in and take down Inox in the top lane.
XGG is really punishing the solo laners specifically right now. Zuna is just a monster so far on Olaf. He's not even finished his first major jungle item, but he has definitely made a big impact here.
See what they can do. Zuna 2-0-1. Looks like he will stay in the top lane, and they get damage on the turret every time they get a kill. They took out Pole Belter. They tried to get a bit of damage on that mid turret. A great hook in. The zap threads through that last minion that was there. And you can see everything thwarted that EG is trying to put on the table right now.
Snoopy just wanted to say hi. Their mid turret is almost down, and this is going to affect Pole Belter's roam as well. So this pick ban phase, with EG going with a lot of mobile assassin champions with some weak laning phases, is getting punished very heavily by XDG's superior lanes.
What's the answer? Where do they focus next? What do you do instantly when you fall behind with this comp?
Yeah, at this point, Evil Geniuses is already 3,000 gold back and counting. Uh-oh, this axe is going to land.
There's a rift going out. The flash comes next. We're going to see that back up around 15.5 minutes for Pole Belter, and that is definitely in the minds of XDG because that means an easier to kill Kassadin, as hard as it is.
Yeah. To get back to what Evil Geniuses wants to do to come back in this one, they just have to survive the laning phase without taking any more casualties. It's just so difficult when they've already lost 2 turrets. They need Pole Belter to probably find a time to sneak down bottom lane and make some kills, and they have to start rotating and taking advantage of their mobility. But as long as they're missing their skill shots on Lee Sin, losing their towers and lanes in the solos, that's just not going to happen.
And a lot of what Snoopy's put into helping right now is just that, his mobility boots. He's trying to get from lane to lane, and his presence isn't being felt too much right now. But Zuna's presence is being felt right now, omnipresent, and he's not even in his own jungle. Oh, the Mega Inferno from downtown. A very nice shot from McSmithy. Great combo by the duo swap.
Oh yeah, they are in perfect synergy. Jungler knows what the jungler wants, AD carry knows what the jungler wants, and they get themselves a kill.
4-1 here at 11.5 minutes in. XDG taking quite a definitive lead, but we're not in the laning phase just yet, so these fights may be organized well as they come in from EG. We still got to see objectives, but right now, a beautiful play to start off that kill, and shutting down Snoopy over and over again is not helping EG at all, especially on this Lee Sin pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were wondering why Snoopy would play Lee Sin because it's not one of his normal things that he would want to be doing. I think he would have loved to have Vi, but obviously that was banned away. And they haven't had any synergies thus far with Inox's Yasuo. They put him so far away from the knockup combos. I mean, that's why when I watched Yasuo play yesterday and there was a Trundle top lane, they could just walk top lane, Trundle could put a pillar down, and Yasuo would immediately appear on the target, and they were generating tons of kills that way. But EG can't necessarily do that. The only way he could even combo with a knockup is if Snoopy's Lee Sin comes in, lands his Qs, gets in melee range, kicks him up in the air, and then finishes, and that is just too much work. He's getting bullied by Renekton and can't be helped.
And you see in the bottom lane there, Smithy and Bloodwater completely freezing the lane, getting a lot of zone out of this as well. Already backing cannot do much. Crepo, or Yellow Pete and Crepo are just not having anything in that lane. So when they come back, it's still going to be a stronger Xmithy. He has that BF sword, and he's just purchased on the side of Yellow Pete.
I think the Nashor's Tooth coming together, too, for ManCloud's Kale in the mid lane.
Yep.
He's really just trying to dominate. Now it's Benny who's able to roam. This is what I was talking about with Renekton in the last game. How Renekton wants to try and make map moves pre-20 minutes,
right.
pre-25 minutes, because he wins the lane so hard. So now Benny's going to be counter-jungling the blue buff, messing with Snoopy's stuff, taking the wolves after that, and really making a general impact on the game.
He's kind of drawn a line across where he is right now, just horizontally across the map. The lane was pushed, and now he's going to go back, and he won't let it get any farther than that. But he can also go to mid on that line as well. So nobody's even there to stop him. The split push is working. They're not even capitalizing on mistakes. They're just a few steps ahead right now.
They don't need to capitalize on mistakes because their lanes are stronger. They've built an advantage, and now they're just working with it. XDG, like I said, was the best early game team of the summer split in Season 3. They're going to try and continue this one. EG wants to take the Dragon because they've roamed down and they have 5 people, and XDG may or may not want to give it to them. Let's see what they do.
They are. They have the positioning. They put themselves inside. Oh, he flashes into Wild Growth Rift out. I like it a lot. They keep going for the fight. Ragnarok is there so he can turn tail and run out of the fight, but they are not done. Zuna's there watching the health of the Dragon. It's going to be a chance for the steal. Snoopy going very low, and they're going to lose the smite on this one. It is down. Dragon is up and angry, and it looks like the fight will continue outside the pit. A beautiful undertow at max range to take down Yasuo. Inox falls, and Zuna heads right back for the objective.
XDG did lose 2, but they got 4, and now they have power at this Dragon. It was a slow roam down from Benny, but it was a good one. So they did get a Yasuo combo off, but it was on to Bloodwater, and he still got his box up and trapped both of EG's solo laners inside of it temporarily. Then they decided to stay on the Dragon, even though Benny was on his way down. Mega Death Rocket took Snoopy out of the equation, and when Renekton at this stage of the game enters a team fight, it just wins the team fight most of the time. Zuna used his axes, and XGG crushed that one because they found a 5v5.
You know, also for Zuna, this is like a heyday game. Who is going to crowd control him even when he doesn't have Ragnarok? Not much.
Absolutely. There's there's glitter lances from Lulu, and that's mostly what he would have to look out for.
Everything that just helps XDG excel right now is happening and is in their favor. 4-0-4 from Zuna, his first LCS presence in the jungle, rocking for his team right now. Still up in CS with making all that impact happen on the champions, as well as in the jungle.
Yeah, geez, this gold lead is just incredible right now. This could be a very quick game, actually.
Yeah.
Especially considering XDG has incredibly fast turret killing with ManCloud's Kale, and Xmithy's, still weird to say Xmithy's Jinx because he's an 80 carry now, but knowing that they know how to convert on their advantages, they've gotten the Dragon, they've gotten the other 3 turrets. Let's see if they can get down the second row turrets as well.
Right. We know what EG is trying to do. Trying to hold it out, extend the time on this one, figure out where they can go, but this is where they almost fall into, you know, a sore position. They try to get split pushing on Yellow Pete maybe. He tries to farm up a little bit, and they don't have what they need, where they need it, when they need it. And they kind of fall behind over and over. Looking at 16 minutes right now at 8-3. Benny's still pressuring that top lane. And it doesn't look like EG's really trying to make a move anywhere. They're just clearing out their jungle right now, making sure it's safe.
Yeah, you can see Pobelter's not really changed paths with his item build either. He's went for the Archangel Staff, which he's going to try and transform into a Seraph's Embrace, but he's just so squishy. Yeah. He gets hit a couple of times, and he's going to be completely out of that fight. There's not the tank presence to kind of help Kassadin go around, and they need a very strong assassination presence if they want this to actually work. But once you fall behind and you're a bunch of squishy assassins, there's usually not coming back.
Right. Did you look at EG's initiation, and it's a cool initiation. They got the Rift Walk in there and the Wild Growth, but it wasn't what they really needed in terms, or Tremendo, it wasn't really what they needed in terms of damage. There's no damage that comes out of being popped up there.
Yeah, just a little bit from when he gets on the target, but it just, like, yes, they killed Bloodwater. No, they were not able to kill
No, they were not. We'll see what they try to keep doing here. Xmithy staying safe on the Thresh Express as he gets himself just out of range. ManCloud's doing the single push in middle, and Benny is still just kind of riding that line from the top lane to the mid line. It looks like he's going to be able to put up enough pressure here to get Pole Belter out. That was one hit there.
Yeah, it's the Q and the auto attack from Kale right there. Even if they threw up the wind wall, it would stop the Q, but not those auto attacks from Kale. Like the one ranged attacker in the game that can hit through the wind wall because there's no projectile.
As they say over in EU, that Lee syndrome going in. Snoopy tries to get deep. They were getting Pole Belter the time to come in here, but the wind wall put vertically next to the fight. It looked good.
It looked really pretty, but it was an ill-advised fight as XDG can just steamroll through. X-Smithy's in a bad spot, though.
Yeah. Whoa! Max Range Lantern, how about that? We got a monthly pass on that one. There's the Inferno Rocket. They have so much poke without really having a ton of poke. It's just one after the other of tiny things, and they're amounting to a lot.
And EG can't punish for positional mistakes. You could say, oh, it's fine because he had the Thrush Express to get back to the team. But that was a dangerous move for X-Smithy.
Yeah, it's the first.
Just wasn't punishable. Pole Belter is far behind, generally harassed down as well. Snoopy had that unfortunate need to go in on his landed Resonating Strike. Or Sonic Wave, rather. He got the Resonating Strike afterwards. Not smart moves by EG, and they're getting pretty outclassed right now by XDG.
Building pretty much whatever they want to suit their needs. You can see two Randuins already being built side by side right there. We got Benny and Zuna both putting those down because it is a team that's going to jump on you. If EG gets the fights they want, they'll be on you in a second. But if you can coordinate it, they're not going to be able to do that much damage. Like we said, there's no crowd control. It's very, not gimmicky.
Yeah, they can kind of jump on one guy. But even if they don't jump on Kale, that one guy can get saved.
Yeah, they have intervention.
There's very few things that EG can do against XDG, and so far, at the regular season, Cloud9 taking out TSM. Maybe XDG is going to continue their regular season domination as well. Both these guys were the top two teams last split in the North American LCS.
They're doing a very good job at working with what came out of Champion Select, and it's something that teams, we looked at a lot last year. Is how can the game be won right out of Champion Select? And maybe it was that way for XDG here. EG kind of, I think, got in their own heads with the comp they wanted. It would work well, but it didn't work like a Teemo, though.
Yeah, not quite as well as the Teemo did. EG, if we think back to the Champion Selection, probably tunneled a little bit on their key picks.
Yeah.
Kassadin being left up, they thought Pole Belter was probably jumped all over it. He really wanted the Kassadin. But it diminished their wave clear, and they got fast pushed early by Kale and Renekton. They both took their turrets very early on. And then Yasuo was left unbanned. How could you not want to go Yasuo? He's been dominating so many of these games. He had a great showing in the Challenger Series last night. He had good games in the European LCS.
Pick him.
And I'm sure Inox has been doing great. Pick him.
Right.
XDG was ready.
We'll see if the tunnel vision gets under their skin enough. Right now it's 9-3. It is looking quite grim. Only 20 minutes into the game, and they've yet to drop a turret. EG definitely trying to get their minds wrapped around what they've been doing wrong in this game. So far, they've only had the chance to stave off this split push. XDG is doing a perfect job at keeping very, very multitasked for EG. There's a little bit of aggression. They don't want it. They also don't have vision of that area, really, so they don't know what they're getting into.
Yeah, that was just harass so they could secure a safe dragon for themselves right there. And Inox is in a lot of trouble here.
Wow, Benny getting some good attacks on. Oh, he puts himself in the throw. The Ignite just stops ticking. Very nice. Inox keeps himself alive, but
back
good
and
choice.
Forth and back again, and Inox is able to get out of that one alive. Sneaky moves, but he's supposed to be able to fight him.
Yeah.
And he can't at this point. There's tons of stacked armor for Benny.
He did earlier. Well, you look at it, right? He went straight for a Blade of the Rune King against huge tank that's still going to be able to put out DPS even if he doesn't build that damage.
Here's the thing, though. Like, he has double crit as a passive for a champion.
Yeah.
Blade of the Rune King doesn't have crit. Yasuo's almost only relevant build path is a static shiv and then an infinity edge because it gives you the 90% crit, and he already wants to move around for his flow, so therefore he wants to get static shiv. The fact that he's had to go Blade of the Rune King means he's never going to get to his items.
No.
He's not actually taking advantage of his champion because he had such a difficult lane.
Something you have to consider. If one lane can actually have that much trouble, do you combine it with the rest of these champions? And I think, again, it leads into a question of, did they tunnel in Champion Select? Because it seems apparent now. It's just a game that XDG was able to see from the beginning. They didn't really have to do any counter jungling to get where they needed to be. But Zuna did focus on Pole Belter early. The build that he had in the tier didn't help. They were able to focus him again. And we really didn't see Snoopy. He bought mobility boots first, and he really didn't make a presence out of the jungle.
Yeah, so XDG was able to get down 6 turrets. So they've gotten the second wave. Now would be the inhibitor wave. That's the time. And yet to be retaliated by a single turret. This would have to be a monstrous comeback for Evil Geniuses, because it's not one of those games where you have a close goal lead and you get a few turrets and then you're back in the game. Even if Evil Geniuses got these turrets down, they would still be in a large deficit.
And this is actually a little bit of a different game for XDG, if you will. Usually you see Zuna Man-Cloud with all these kills, but he's the one who's 1, 2, and 6, while the other one's 2, 0, and 1 for Xmithy, 4, 0, and 5, 2, 0, and 3. So they've almost changed up their style of play for this one, and they're letting Man-Cloud do what he needs to, while everybody else is carrying.
Yeah. At this point, Man-Cloud was just getting the assist kills, but this could be the fight EG did not want.
Oh, from the outside, Xmithy using the Fog of War to his advantage. He's going to come in. Could he get a double here? It's going to be Inox next. The kill does not go to him as they start to trade it around. Very nice job coming in from Man-Cloud and Zuna to pick up a few more. Zuna with another one now at 6, 0, and 7. Another double kill for him on the game, and the ace for XDG.
Just an easy and clean fight for XDG here, but EG is running into XDG at a turret. Pobelter got his face knocked off at the start of that fight. The ultimate finished him, and then EG is in full run mode. They were definitely trying to force something because they knew they were incredibly far behind, but you could really see how far behind they are in this fight because XDG just rolled through them with high-level play.
No crowd control. That's really a problem in these fights. You have Renekton and Olaf doing whatever they want. It can't be not said that the crowd control is a problem.
Yeah, 607 on Olaf. He's pretty strong in the jungle. You can see why Benny is not allowed to play him in the top lane. Suna wants him for the jungle. And now they're actually baiting a Baron right here. They do not expect EG to have vision control. And that was very weird, but they got a kill on Mulu. We skipped ahead in time a little bit right there. Let's do the time warp again. Let's get into a fight.
All the wards going down in the same spot. You can see a few holding hands there for XDG, or rather that would be for EG as they place them over the wall. XDG with 3 pings right now surrounding the Baron area. They have full control of this next fight. And it looks like they won't get Baron. EG does not bite.
Now at this point, XDG is playing it safe. EG's done a Baron dance or 2 in their day.
Yep.
Used to be what every game ended up coming down to in Season 2 for a lot of these guys. This game's not going to come down to a Baron dance, though. I think at any point XDG wants to take Baron, they can. If they want to fight, they generally can as well.
So Seraph's into Void Staff.
It's actually a good build.
Quicken.
Yeah, and he needs the magic penetration right now because Olaf and Renekton both have the Negatron cloaks already. Even Jinx has been able to pick one up.
Wow.
He
they actually
needs
just
to be
went
able to get
back,
through that.
almost made those double Spirit Visage. And like you said, Negatron Cloak being picked up on Jinx. Those AD carry items, just a tad discrepancy as well. We're looking at a Last Whisper and a Static Shiv coming in for Xmithy to a Bloodthirster. So just all in all, the damage is not going to be there. The Undertow hits. He tries to get the shield down, but it's not going to be enough. They put him right in the box. They don't seem to have a huge amount of front-end damage, but they can carry through with the DPS that they have, and that's what makes this team so scary.
Oh, and they actually get the slow on to Crepo. Xmithy going all in by himself.
The intervention, the choppers, the kill, and that he just exploded. Man-Cloud was like, my turn.
Yeah, that's the Lichbane kill, starting to stack up some ability power. XDG 17-3. 16,000 gold through. They're dominating this one.
Something we saw throughout the previous splits was that there was a bit of hesitation. Once a team got a lead, they didn't know where to go with it. We're not seeing that here. XDG has figured out which turret to take next, what to do after a single, a double, or a triple kill, and what to do while taking Baron.
Well, may as well get rid of Lee Sin.
May as well.
He's going to try to mess up your stuff, so you got to finish him off before he has the chance to.
Get all messy.
XDG had a reputation last split, too, of not being able to close games. Like, they were very likely to throw. They said it themselves. I don't like the term throw personally, because oftentimes the enemy team makes a lot of big moves to come back into the game, and teams don't want to acknowledge it. But sometimes XDG would throw last split. And this is not the case with the team right now, because all the moves they're making are very crisp and clean, especially that Baron. They didn't even give the chance for a Baron to be taken, because they killed Snoopy before it happened.
We'll see a first inhibitor going down here. EG was able to drop that bottom turret, which really that gold isn't going to help them right now. There's way too much of a deficit there. It's going to be a lot. About 17,000 gold in all so far for XDG. They have that lead, and really they're just kind of walking this one in. It's only going to take a few more moments.
Yeah, they're going to walk this one in. This will definitely be faster than the Cloud9 game we had, which was 47 minutes. They're taking all the gold they can, though. They're really just basking in the glory of this victory so far, because 8 turrets to 1, not a complete shutout. They did die 3 times throughout this one, but man, Riv, they have definitely put their stamp on this one. They're saying right now that this role swap is a good idea, and at least early on, there's going to be a lot of questions after this game whether the EG team is just underperforming or whether this XDG role swap has really worked for them. Zuna looked very confident on Olaf, and Xmithy and Bloodwater didn't really make a mistake in that bottom lane.
Well, Jad, I think it's working for him quite well. A lot of people were, like you said, skeptical about what was going to happen, but even coming into the game, you think, what did Zuna used to play? He used to play Kog'Maw. He used to play champions that could sit back, Ezreal, not be on the front line. Would he have a problem going into the jungler position? Absolutely not.
He doesn't say so. I mean, not to bash on Zuna's AD carry too much.
Right.
But he was oftentimes found out of position. A lot of times on AD carry. He loved to get way too in the face of people in team fights.
That works in the jungle.
I do the same thing when I play AD carry. I get way too close. If I'm playing Tristana,
so you're a jungler.
I shouldn't play Tristana because I just want to jump on people to get like the slow. Because that's what I would want to do if I was a tank.
Like double lift. Jump in.
Yeah, that was a very bad move on Tristana to jump inside those times. And it fits. It just fits your playstyle if you want to do that.
30 minutes coming up on the clock here. A lot longer for our last game. XDG trying to put a quick move onto this one. We can see they have switched to 3 sweepers and 2 trinkets, and that sweeping has cleared the map of EG's wards. They have nothing outside their base, nor should they, because they are trying to stay safe. Danger, danger. Going through with the Inferno Rocket. Looks like they are, or the Mega Death Rocket Ragger. Pole Belter needs Asania's, I believe. The shield wasn't enough on Seraph, so Blaze goes down. Double kill coming. I believe it was just in 2 swings. A third swing coming out from ManCloud. And a third kill. Then the Nexus now to fall. The turrets go down, and they're going to be able to get the second win of the NALCS Spring Split here in 2014 at 30 minutes.
And that fight was over before it started. You could not have a more convincing Day 1, Game 1 victory than Vulcan just had against Evil Geniuses. Role swap, so far, so good. Zuna yet to die.
Yeah.
15 assists to go with his 6 kills.
Zuna going all reckless in the jungle.
If you check the website, that'll be a 21 KDA after 1 game, which is pretty impressive with his first debut. Neither of the swappers actually died. Xmithy 6-0 as well.
Wholly a game where champion select I don't think went right for EG.
No. Or the actual game.
Yeah, the actual game as well, but it's kind of like the first game where there weren't many mistakes made by EG, but that's only because they didn't get the chance to. XDG was in their face all the time, and really they weren't at the level of XDG the entire game. There were levels being had. The great counter jungle by Zuna in the first one, refreshing his double buffs, and then he met Snoopy as soon as he came back into the jungle and brought him down to 25% health.
And I think your champion selection point is valid as well, because they did pick a full lineup of assassins. Benny picked a very tanky Renekton. They picked Kale into a bunch of assassins as well, which was a great pick. And in no way, shape, or form was that working unless they got way ahead really early, but that wasn't going to happen with weak lanes.
Right.
The synergy isn't there for EG.
Maybe that's why, you know, ManCloud stayed back, because there were so many assassins. Defending the one would have just got him killed by the second if he played normal, if he played to always push the lane.
Yeah, well, ManCloud's game plan that game was just to push the lane.
Yeah.
It stops the Kassadin from roaming. He knows he can beat Kassadin in lane, as most people can in lane early on, but he stopped the roaming.
And it showed from their focus. They put, I don't know, a good 25% damage on the turret after that first kill, even though Snoopy tried to get there and was like, oh my god, please don't take mid-turret. And then it happened the second gank, mid-turret was gone.
Yeah, really fast.
Very strong play. And it's one thing was their dragons. EG went for that dragon like they almost didn't want to. Everybody turned out of the fight, and they left Snoopy in there, they left Crepo in there, and then their initiation didn't work, so they kept going for dragon, kind of as they went in with the wild growth on Kassadin. So everything was like, yes, we should. it kind of worked. Let's see if we can keep doing it. And I don't think it was full communication there.
There was definitely a lot of fights for Evil Geniuses where they actually went all in. Like, they were on the same page.
Yeah.
But it was the wrong page. And they need to pick it up for the next game.
We'll see what happens. When we return, Freak and Kobe will be joined by XDG Zuna. Then we'll see if Curse can make a splash when they take on Team Coast. Day 1 of the 2014 NALCS Spring Split continues after this.